she had a lot of friends and relatives across the country, and she sent them all letters and phone calls and our schedule. And every time we were entering a community, there was either a family or a friend of hers that was waiting to carry the torch, you know. So we had many other similar stories. A young 8-year-old girl that needed a bone marrow transplant, Julie from North Bay, and the list just goes on and on. 17-year-old boy from Abbotsford, BC, and you know, it just goes on and on. And so the torch, what we say is that the people that carry it, we're hoping they can put all their love into it and all their power into it, so that the next person that receives it or touches it can receive all this love and hope and everything. And our job is to try and get the word out, but I think what we also do is give hope to those families and those individuals that are presently waiting. We can't guarantee that they're going to receive the organ, you know, but we can try and offer them some hope to maybe carry on another day of survival, you know, which sometimes that's the case. There might be just days left, and another day waiting might just be enough time to receive that organ. So the torch, another highlight of the torch is that while I was walking, when I reached the BC border, I got a call from someone that had a Polish accent, and I thought it was my friend Billy pulling another prank on me, because every morning he would phone me and he would disguise his voice as somebody, Larry King or something, you know, and he'd always get me, you know, and so I heard this Polish accent, and I said, Billy, it's you, I know it's you, you know, and the person at the other end was saying, pardon me, you know, and continued it, and this was going on too long. Like, usually if I catch Billy, he'll give it up, you know, but, and then I thought maybe it's somebody really with a Polish accent, and he said he was calling from Vatican City. And then next thing I know is he wanted to set up a meeting with me and the Pope. So, of course, I had to pinch myself and is this really happening, you know? And next thing I know, I'm on a plane and I'm passing the torch to the Pope. I have a bigger picture here too. And so the Pope received the torch on September 5th, 2001, and on behalf of Vatican City, and this was in front of a world audience, world media and everything, he proclaimed that organ and tissue donation is a genuine act of love, and he encouraged the entire world to become organ donors and every religion to think about it, and you know, and so we left Vatican City that day with his blessing and his handprint and everything. So the torch became our symbol. And shortly after I did my campaign, we did our fourth campaign, Christopher's Wish, in 2004. A young 14-year-old boy needed a liver transplant, and I never met anybody like this boy in my life. He had 20 operations through his young life. He was battling a liver disease called biliaria atresia, which afflicts young infants, and there's a 98% mortality rate unless they receive a liver transplant. And somehow he survived and was in and out of the hospitals. And this young boy who I met in Sarnia during my walk said one day I would like to carry that torch across Canada. And at 14 years old in 2004, he somehow convinced all of us that he could do it even while he was sick. So that year, it was called Christopher's Wish. He was wearing a beeper. We were hoping that that beeper was going to go off, so it would be the news that a liver was available. So every day the beeper was on as he was carrying the torch from St. John's to Victoria. So I think it was at that point that he also became like some kind of rock idol too, because at every stop that we were making in the communities, there was literally, and we have it all in footage, thousands of kids that would gather to wait for him. And then it would take us at least an hour after we you know, to get him out of there. And especially with all the girls that were around him. He's a good-looking kid. And so this is where I think the idea of letting the students do all this, you know, and that's where the idea of SOS4000 started developing, you know, because wouldn't it be something if we had a student torch champion in each city this time? And you know, that's where the idea to do this campaign really came from. Yeah, from
Did he receive the...
No, but here's what happened, and he says that it's because of the torch. During that year, he didn't get sick one time, and we had to organize this carefully because we had to have we had to have helicopter service in case something went wrong with him and to get brought to a hospital immediately. So we had to organize our events from province to province with the helicopter ambulance, you know. And it was usual for him for every month to get really sick, so that's why we prepared it. During that entire year, he did not get sick once. And shortly after he finished the campaign, he went for his full visit at the hospital, and the doctors are still scratching their heads because the disease somehow went into remission. And they can't figure out how that happened because that isn't supposed to happen. And, you know, and if you noticed in some of the pictures, Christopher, I think, does these things to get out of school, because he found another way to get out of school this year again by joining me to do the SOS4000 from St. John's all the way to Montreal. And what a perfect thing that was, because here's a young student that met all these students that were keeping in touch with him, and 3 years later he's coming back to give them the torch this time so that they could become the torch champion. So it was pretty cool. So he's at home right now. He says he's from Sarnia. He says I'm fixing Sarnia up for you when the torch arrives in Sarnia. So you know, prepare for a really big event. You know, so it's like Christopher, the passion and enthusiasm that we found in these kids, you just can't match it. There's nothing in what we adults can do to match that enthusiasm. So this is SOS4000. It's a student torch relay across Canada where the students become the spokespeople, the ambassadors, and they're the ones that we're hoping is going to reach the entire nation, you know, so that we can solve this shortage.
How old was he when he carried the torch?
14, so he's now 17.
So you've been meeting with politicians across the country. Have they come to you with any concrete sort of policies they're going to put forward to sort of further innovation?
Not fast enough. You know, it's part of the way things have to evolve sometimes. You know, you know, if I had my way, and I was able to control the whole health issue about this, a lot more things would have been done a lot sooner. It has made some progress, and we're now in the midst